Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of this series of tubes and wires that we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Not really so good. It's starting to get real that I'm heading into getting operated on again. I keep thinking over the last 16 years of the podcast, I had the eBay store going, and then I shut it down for the 5 years that I was on the road. I shut it down 2 more times when I had my hip surgery done, and now I'm doing it again. Although this one may be a little bit longer. It could be up to 6 months. I'm pretty sure. I think what did it, I went in to get fitted for my sling because I got to be in a sling for 6 weeks. Keep the tendons being melded to the bone, and that's not a good place for healing. So you got to be absolutely still. And he was showing me like, okay, here you passive, let your arm hang, you lean forward. That's how you wash your armpit. How to get myself in and out of the sling, how to get the ice going. I'm a little freaked out about all this. I'm pretty sure I'm not overreacting. I'm just suture. I mean, the operation's really going to cut to the point. Thank God my surgeon had a sharp sense of humor. He says I'll be under pressure, but I'll come out stitched together because his surgery plans are always well cut. It's just a procedure, a real slice of life. And he says, don't panic. He'll stay sutured.
Please clap.
You're telling me I told this joke in the OR and it didn't land. It scalped it. Okay, let's just make it short. This will be a cut above the rest. It's a sharp decision, clean cut. Stitches happen. It'll be well sutured, slice done, incision precision, and so it goes. You keep going?
No, please.
Oh, okay.
For the love of all that is holy, no.
Yes, okay. I am a little freaked out, though, because this is second to last podcast before I go under.
Well, one thing, you made me back earlier because, what is it, Kyle Fletcher in All Elite Wrestling broke his leg and was back after 2.5 months. Cleared for wrestling.
Yeah, I may not be cleared for work, but if I can sit up and basically I'm sitting at the computer with my headphones on. I think it could be possible. I don't know how long was it till I was back when I had my hips done. I don't even remember that.
It was only about a month. You were only out about a month. And okay. I wanted you to come back early because I wanted you completely drugged up.
Oh, I can do that. I'll have Oxycontin. Don't worry. Maybe I'll do that for the first one. I'll just get an Oxycontin in me. Yeah, they got all the drugs ready.
You get all hopped up on goofballs, and we'll start asking you questions.
Hey, that's a good idea. Why don't you gather? I've done that for you before. Why don't you just go out to the listener world, and if you got a question to ask me, line it all up, and on my first podcast back, I'll hype up on some Oxycontin, and hilarity will ensue. I do know there was something when I had my hip done. I think it was the hip. Might have been something else, but I was looking at it like, I always hear about people dying because they take like a narcotic like Oxycontin and then they're drinking alcohol. So what the hell does that do? Oh, it slows your heart down, gives you a hell of a high, which is why these guys end up killing themselves by accident because you're so high you don't realize your body's shutting down. Okay, not going to do that. Matter of fact, the doctor's like, yes, that's probably a good idea. But yeah, I've got. Well, I'll talk a little bit about it in freaking and stuff. But I mean, I've emptied out our storage bin where I call it the low grade collectibles, parts of Gruber's collection, parts of Mike's collection. Matter of fact, the last thing I'm taking out later today will be a foil signed She-Print that Pat had signed and had been trying to sell for Mike. and it was just in the storage bin because it's big, it's large, and I'm like, you know what? That's just going to come. I'm still going to sell it for Lisa, but I have no idea how or when. But right now, the only thing left in there is bubble wrap, pallets, my two-wheeler, an old guard table.
Oh,
Chris
wait
has
a
been,
minute. Bubble wrap.
oh, hell yeah.
That's how you can take care of yourself after your surgery. Just have Chris wrap you up in bubble wrap and put you on the couch.
I don't want to go on the couch. We did get a new couch. However, I've got a command chair that is about twice as big as me. I mean, Holly and I can fit in this thing, maybe even Chris, but it's got a lift function, so it lifts me up. It leans back almost into bed formation. It's got a heating pad. It has a massage feature. You know, the feet thing goes up, the head thing goes up. So that's kind of where I'm going to probably be for the next 6 weeks for the most part. Kind of like what I did with my surgery. I just lived in the recliner chair. And the therapist was like, yeah, you sleeping on will be a little tough because you got to remain immobile. And they don't want you to like lean over on your side because that could rip the heel and then, start again. But I'm like, yeah, no, we got a recliner. And I kind of gauge, did I tell the sword story of what happened with the recliner?
No.
Oh, hang on a second. Let me put that down on freaking. Recliner story. See, folks, this is how the podcast just writes itself. But other things I got to do, I've got an ice thing. One of the things the doctor reiterated says, you take your drugs when they're prescribed. Tylenol, gabapentin, some other fun things. There's always a stool softener with narcotics because they tend to bind you up pretty well. The other thing he said is you want to keep your shoulder ice at least 20 minutes of it every hour. So I have a device that you put water in, you dump a bunch of ice cubes, and then it just circulates water through. And it's programmed with a remote control, so I got to either do it like every 10 minutes and then turn it on again. I got a bidet. Got to figure out how to get that thing in. Because think about it. My right hand, my dominant hand, is going to be immobile. There are certain life functions that become very difficult one-handed. And I'm not talking about how am I going to open up my Diet Mountain Dew every morning. So I'm going to play with that
Is it
next week.
now? Are you drinking Mountain Dew? Or are you drinking American Dew?
I guess I have American Dew because it had all these pretty cans in there. I'm not keeping any. Not like I kept the bottle of Everclear I found in my parents' alcohol cabinet. But yep, I'm doing the American Dew. I'm drinking American Dew. Why don't you drink some American Dew? Because it tastes like battery acid. Yeah. And Diet Dew. Of course, if the good people at Mountain Dew want to sponsor our podcast, I'll gladly retract what I just said.
I
Or I
find it
won't.
fascinating that we're going into America's 250th anniversary, and I was around in 1976. I had just started reading comics, and comics kind of went big into the bicentennial, as did everything. 2 years leading up to it, it's the American Minute on all three networks.
Oh, yeah.
DC had the banner, DC celebrates the bicentennial. And then, in what I think is the most fascinating convergence of things, Captain America issue 200 came out in June of 1976. And Kirby had built up to this story with Captain America versus these people who wanted to bring back, British rule. The whole Mad Bomb story. This
Oh,
year,
yeah.
it doesn't seem like anybody is paying any attention at all.
Well, except our president. I mean, he's got all sorts of things he's going to put his face on.
Well, yeah, but
If it
I
wasn't
mean,
$250, I would buy one of those, assuming it's legal tender and not just a fake scam, because that is the type of collector item political collectors will flock to. Case in point, there's a real active market in Nixon memorabilia. I think I actually found one And I remember sending it to, I think I sent it to you, Nixon's back.
Yeah.
What we do. So again, if you can afford it, I don't know if I want a passport. I think that is a little gauche. Besides mine, I have a passport already. So again, all that political memorabilia, whether you're pro or con, pick it up, put it in a box, see what you pull out 10 years from now. Which ironically, I do have a box full of buttons. As I was cleaning out the house, I keep finding out it'll be in. It's like, what are these? Chunk. Oh, buttons. That explains the styrofoam tube I've got, because I can stick the buttons in there when I finally do decide, what in hell's bells am I going to do with all this crap? On the bicentennial thing, I was going to say what we had is one Burlington Northern dressed up two of their engines in bicentennial scheme. They might have done more, but I would see that go by my house every so often. There was actually an HO set based on that scheme. I forget the engines that they did. And then, of course, it disappeared right afterwards. They painted over in their old green scheme.
Yeah.
Are we going to celebrate anything?
You coming back?
And I should say, if you guys, this is your chance again, you want to co-host the podcast with Mr. Strode, just send him a quick line. Tell him where to send emails of interest, Corey.
solitaireroseproductions@gmail.com.
Yep. And I'm sure Corey will berate you for what is wrong with you. Don't you have a life? Stop wasting it with us. I mean, can I fart in a room and shoot it at my wife? There's actually a device you can buy to do that. But
and you've bought it, haven't you?
No, not yet. I don't need to. I can just walk by and drop one. I could do it like 2 days ago, and she'll walk in the house. What the hell happened here? Speaking of which, because it's been a while since we've done a podcast. Just life events have occurred, and I'm talking in serious ways. I won't talk too much about it, but my mom ended up in the hospital for a while. She's back home, thank goodness. The funny thing was, they're in a assisted living now, and where my mom went for transitional care was in the same complex run by the same people, but 2 blocks away. And my brother reports that my dad, once he realized where mom was, would get his walker, take the entire 2 blocks as fast as he's ever walked since he's gotten his walker, get there and not be out of breath.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, that is so sweet. But she's back home now. I haven't visited because I've had a cold. I'm kind of a little miffed about that, but I'm also glad I have it now instead of the week of the surgery, which could actually postpone the surgery. So that took care of a couple weeks. I think the last time we were together, was it Free Comic Book Day?
Yes, it was.
Have we dropped any?
Done anything since Free Comic Book Day.
I haven't even opened my Free Comic Book Day box.
Really?
I haven't read any comics for the last month because as I've ordered comics again and I've got a box of comics, but as I'm heading down to the deadline, like I said, I got to get, work stuff taken care of. The big one was get the warehouse cleared out because that's like $500 a month. And if I'm not going to be actively using it, might as well save the money. Yeah, it's weird. This is a case where if I had to like walk away and not read another comic in my life, I could very well do it. I can understand now why people stop reading comic books because you just get out of the habit of picking them up. Could be money, could be you don't have a store, could be the people you talk when you're younger, girls, cars, sports. I mean, those are always the big 3. And then I'll sit down and I'll read a comic run, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the stuff. Oh yeah. So I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it as I'm sitting around one-handed, but I do have a couple boxes of all the comics in line. And of course, every so often I'm thinking, yeah, I should probably cut the line. Like I noticed Tom King's off Wonder Woman, at least with the latest solicitation. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll drop Wonder Woman. Although finally, I did read one comic, Rick Veich's Swamp Thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You want to give the people a quick
History
synopsis,
lesson.
a comic history lesson.
So, after Alan Moore left Swamp Thing, Rick Veitch took over.
Which was a hell of an act to do.
Yeah, because there were a lot of people who probably they asked and went, no, I'm not following that. Although, boy, did a lot of people steal ideas from it.
Yeah.
I still remember when Firestorm became a fire elemental. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's like everybody was turning into an elemental all of a sudden.
Yeah. So, and he was doing a story where Swamp Thing was being sent backward through time.
And you know I'm a sucker for a time travel story.
And in a lot of ways, it was so that Veitch could use some of the older characters, Tomahawk and, gosh, I forget some of the other ones he used.
It was the
Shining
World War
Knight.
II Baron, wasn't it? The Flying Ace or whomever? I thought he
Um,
stopped in World War I briefly.
World War I for Enemy Ace.
Yep. And there was stop in what you said, Merlin, King Arthur's time.
Yep.
And I never say the demon's name right.
Etrigan.
Etrigan. We saw him at various spots.
And one of the stories was going to be that he was going to be in the time of Christ.
He was actually in the garden and actually gave Jesus juice from whatever berries he grows.
And at that point, Vertigo had not been created yet. You had one of the major retailers, a guy who's still around, Buddy Saunders, who was refusing to stock certain DC books that he felt weren't moral. And he threw a major fit when it was announced that Swamp Thing would be in the time of Jesus, and one of the covers portrayed him as the cross. And
which they didn't use.
Yeah.
Although they do reprint it in this book.
But that was a solicitation, and he threw a fit. And it was also right after the Friendly Franks thing, where there was a retailer in Illinois that got busted for selling porn to children. And this was under Reagan / Bush the First, where the attorney general was really going hard after pornography.
Easy targets.
Because they had, it was kind of a quid pro quo thing. They'd got the support of evangelicals. So to appease them and show that, yes, we're on your side, they went after pornography, which was one of the things that they were upset about. And it was easy headlines, especially comic books. Look at these comic books, which are for children, that have boobies in them. And so DC, which had what I call an institutional memory, remembered that in the 50s, when this stuff started to happen, it was devastating for the industry. People got called up in front of Congress about this. And so they backed off immediately. It had a number of what I like to call domino effects. Because
they basically, they just canceled the issue.
Yeah.
And the reason, I remember reading about it in the Comic Buyer's Guide, and one other thing was, well, you can't portray Christ that way. That same month, in Secret Origins, had an Alan Moore story talking about the origins of the Phantom Stranger. One of them was he was the wandering Jew who
Yeah.
looked up, saw Christ, and Christ basically said, "You're now going to wander the earth forever." And I'm like, really? And without having read the story, I'm like, it's okay over here. I mean, and it wasn't on the cover. Well, it might have been. I don't remember.
Nope.
I'd have to
It
dig it up.
wasn't on the cover.
But it was Jesus on the cross. And even if you had no idea, you understood, even though they might not have mentioned it by name, who it was on the
Yeah.
cross. Now, again, I'm a Catholic. The nice thing about the buyer's guide is they actually summarize the story and what would happen to the Swamp Thing as the storyline finished and he got to his ultimate goal. I remember meeting Rick Veitch and telling him, in my collection, I took that article and that's the end of my Swamp Thing collection. I tried picking it up I'm getting ahead of the story. I tried picking up the next issue, totally illegible. I couldn't read it. I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. I don't envy the creators that had to jump in. I don't think it started gelling again until towards the who did that? Who was it? Anne? I can't think of her name.
No, Nancy Collins.
Thank you, Nancy Collins. Yeah, her storyline.
Horror prose writer.
Yeah, when she got to the end of that run, that's when it started gelling again. But that was what was going on now. And of course, we didn't know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. In the book, the comic, he covers part of it.
Well, we also know some of this behind the scenes stuff because it had already been announced that this new writer was going to take over Swamp Thing. His name was Neil Gaiman.
Never last.
He was going to write the Swamp Thing annual that would lead into his series. But because of DC doing this, he bowed out. So we did not get the Neil Gaiman Swamp Thing. It was also part of the whole. There was a lot of fallout because DC was going to be putting a mature readers label on some of their books, and there were creators who did not care for that. They didn't like that idea, and one of them was Marv Wolfman, because they had this letter in the CBG. We would rather, we don't want DC to label blah, 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 blah. Marv Wolfman signed the letter, and it was determined that because he had signed that letter, he would be dismissed from his position as editor at DC. So there was some fallout from this thing. DC decided that they were going to print the stories. Did they have all 4 issues, or did someone have to step in and pencil any of this?
I don't. If it happens, it wasn't in the first issue that I read.
Okay, because I know that Michael Zulli, who's the artist on it, has passed away, and his wife had the original covers,
which they do print.
Yeah, and she had not sold them.
The story. Did you get a chance to read the story?
I am going to pick it up. They're putting it out as part of a trade paperback that will have all of Veitch's run, and I'm picking it up that way.
Yeah, I did read it. It's a phenomenal story. Very respectful. I did not find it sacrilegious. How long has it been since this was canceled? This was what, 80s?
89, I believe.
Yeah. So kudos for DC for finally doing it.
And finding it.
Yeah.
Because I've talked about in the past, our friend Stephanie colored a story by a Wonder Woman story by George Perez that has never seen print. And I have asked a couple editors at DC, and they are basically like, "Oh, we are looking everywhere for this thing. This is Basically, it's, hey, we've got money sitting in a drawer somewhere. One other thing, Marvel, I've actually asked Tom Brevoort this. Marvel has printed all of the stuff they had in inventory that had been, you know, because they used to have inventory stories, and they have printed all of them. There are things that were talked about that were, in process. Some of the original Marvel graphic novels, things like that, and they have not been able to find them. Anything that they have found has been printed. The Man-Thing graphic novel that Steve Gerber was working on, that has been printed. There was, what was that? Marvel From the Vaults, where they basically, it's like, okay, these were some higher end inventory stories that we had, stuff by Steve Ditko and Gene Colan and stuff like that. That's all been printed. But if you ever want to see the Marvel inventory stuff, they did a series, quarterly series in 1990 that lasted till what, 93, called Marvel Superheroes. Joe, what is the one character that has made a specific issue of Marvel Superheroes worth a lot of money?
Oh, that would be good old Squirrel Girl, I believe.
That's
Or is
right.
it Galactica?
No, Squirrel Girl.
Yeah,
Galactica was
yeah.
later. But no, Squirrel Girl was a character that had been created to be in Marvel Comics Presents by Will Murray and Steve Ditko. And they just dumped it in an issue of Marvel Superheroes. One thing I find really interesting is the issues of Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel was canceled with issue 23. Well, issues 24, 25, and 26 were in process. And they finally saw the light of day, which was the fight between Ms. Marvel and Rogue as a villain that led to Avengers Annual 10, where Ms. Marvel's memories had been taken by Rogue. And the thing is, you could tell where the book was canceled because kind of halfway through one of the stories, um, the art all of a sudden takes a huge nosedive. It's like, oh crap, they must have stopped on this page, in the middle of this page, and had just somebody in the office finish it up. There aren't a lot of good stories in Marvel superheroes, but there are a lot of interesting stories because you could see a lot of stuff that was okay. This was to be a fill-in on Hulk. This was to be a fill-in here. This was to be a fill-in there. They didn't have a lot of the big name heroes because those were the ones that they used. It's like, oh crap, we got a Spider-Man story, and one of the 5 Spider-Man books didn't have anything for this month. Here you go. And Brevoort has said they don't do inventory stories anymore because comics now are so dependent upon this run is by a specific creator telling a specific story, whereas in the 80s it was more okay, we could interrupt a story in Spider-Man for this villain if somebody's late. It's no big deal. They also don't have Marvel Comics Presents, which was after the first year or so kind of became where you would break in if you were a comic creator. You would pitch 8-page stories. Read those Marvel Comics Presents in the early 90s. You see a lot of Scott Lobdell. A lot of Scott Lobdell. Because he lived near the Marvel offices, so what he would do every day on his way to work, he would drop off another 8-page story. And that was to show he could meet deadline. They could count on him, et cetera, et cetera. That's why Scott Lobdell kind of came out of nowhere and was like, oh, how did he get on the X-Men? They knew he could meet a deadline. And there is your tangent for the day, kids.
Yay! I don't even know where we were before.
You were talking about Swamp Thing.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Free Comic Book Day.
Well, you went from Free Comic Book Day to Swamp Thing. I don't know how you got there.
Well, I was just saying I did read a book because I
No.
hadn't read
Oh, okay.
anything from Free Comic Book Day yet. I haven't even opened the box yet, but I did. That was the one when I got my order. That was like, oh my god, it's here! Sit down, read it. Which is the first time I think I've done that since I used to go pick up my monthly comic book or my weekly comic book orders as a kid because it'd always be like, oh, I got to read this. So I'd read it on the way home on the bus. I just couldn't wait. And I waited a long time for this one.
Well,
But
I have box day today,
yay.
and I will be reading something the minute it gets here, even though I've already got it. I've already read it.
Uh-oh.
I have the collected edition. And that is JLA Avengers #1 facsimile edition with the foil cover.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I didn't do the foil covers. I didn't do the regular cover. I did whatever the extra variant was. Mainly because I haven't had a lot of luck with foil covers getting to me intact. Usually it's like one big ding in it, and it's that they cover me, but usually they're sold out, so I don't get another one.
I'm getting the foil covers on the Treasury editions
Oh yeah,
because,
those are
first off, these Treasury edition reprints, Marvel, get your head out of your ass, reprint your Treasuries. But there's something really nice about a big size comic. Like when Marvel was doing those oversized hardcovers, the ones that look like, that you could use them for a door. Those are just amazing. I love those books. What is it? I think the Ditko book is now going for $300 to $500.
wow.
The Steranko is going for about that. The Kirby's going for about that. Um, yeah, Ditko blown up is nice. Steranko blown up is amazing, but Kirby blown up, it's actually bigger than the original art. And first off, the inking really shows on them because I got the Galactus book,
Mm.
and that Galactus story inked by Joe Sinnott, just amazing. But then later you get the John Buscema Galactus story from around issue 120. Joe Sinnott inked that as well. And Buscema on Fantastic Four, he did full pencils. A lot of his stuff in the 70s, he did kind of breakdowns and very loose pencils. And the inkers did it because he was breaking the Kirby barrier on a lot of stuff. He was doing tons of pages. But on Fantastic Four, because it had been Marvel's second highest selling book, and Stan was kind of freaking out when Kirby left, that's why you had Romita do issues and then Buscema do issues, and it was that was the second to last book he gave up. He gave up Spider-Man last, but he was so worried that with Kirby gone, Fantastic Four would just fall apart. Um, it didn't. It took, creatively it took a hit, but man, Buscema inked by Sinnott when Buscema's doing full on that larger size. Oh. One thing that's interesting is when you see the Golden Age stuff, because to me, DC's Golden Age stuff is really crude. It looks a lot better on the larger size. On regular comic size, it it doesn't look that good. Regular on the Treasury size, which is probably closer to the size it was drawn, it looks a lot better. So Marvel, get your behind in gear and get those Treasuries reprinted.
I don't know.
I
Half of what Marvel's doing lately as I read through their catalog. I don't think you didn't get the current catalog, did you?
It is in my box.
They're going to a dark universe. Apparently they like
Oh
the idea of
yes,
having a
it's the
universe.
new. That's the new Hickman thing.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like, That's the only reason why I would consider it. It's almost like Marvel's decided their current universe is too convoluted, so they keep bringing up, here's a story set in the past when Chris Claremont was writing X-Men, written by Chris Claremont. And I'm like, not that interested in that type of stuff.
They've been doing a lot of those, though,
But
for
way too
older
much.
creators. Remember Peter David, that pretty much was his career the last 6-7 years of his life.
It's
They've
just
had
like they've given up on their regular universe because they're so busy trying to jump. I don't see current fans caring. I don't get where they go, oh, look, this old guy, Chris Claremont. I heard he wrote old books. He's doing a current series. It could be cool. No, I don't see people doing that.
Shall I explain why they do that?
Well, money for one.
Well, first off, the trade paperbacks do well because older readers buy those.
Yeah, we're idiots. We'll buy the same thing over and over and over. Corey just proved that.
The second reason is they're paying Chris Claremont whether he writes a comic or not.
Yeah. And I don't know if they would trust him to like, well, here, take this character and run with it.
They've tried a couple times, and the problem with Chris, and I love Chris Claremont. I think we would not have comics the way they are now without Chris Claremont. I'm sorry, it's that simple. He's the one who brought us from the Stan Lee stuff to a more serious writing style. And any of the comic creators who you really love now who've gotten into comics over the last 20 years, they're going to point to Chris Claremont. One of the things that when we went to San Diego, I went to the X-Men panel, and it was right before Grant Morrison was going to take over the X-Men. He could not stop praising Chris Claremont's X-Men.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, Chris Claremont did not care for what Grant Morrison did to the X-Men, but
did he care for anybody that did anything with the X-Men?
No.
That's okay. End of subject.
But Chris Claremont is being paid whether he writes or not. The problem is when he does a new X-Men book, he has said this, and his editors have said this, he can't wrap his head around all the changes that have happened to the characters over the last 20 years. He did a Nightcrawler story, and there was an interview where somebody asked him about all this stuff, and he said, I do not understand the whole, his father was a demon, then it wasn't, and then he was a priest, and then he wasn't, and then he was this, and then he wasn't. I'm going to ignore all that and tell the Nightcrawler story that I want to tell. And I completely understand that. Because when you look over a lot of the X-Men history, the characters, many of the characters have changed so much that if you were to treat Nightcrawler by remembering all of his history, the original Nightcrawler was this, happy swashbuckling guy. And the reason for that was Marvel had this trope of, oh, I look like a monster. Oh, I'm so sad because I look like a monster. And it's endless belly aching. And Claremont said, no, why not have a character who enjoys it? Who loves the fact that he has these powers, who loves, he wants to be Errol Flynn. And what did they do after Claremont left? Oh, I look like a demon. My father's the devil, and,
Yeah.
and I need to get right with God. So Claremont ignored all that. Or Wolverine, he's dead, he's alive, he's dead, he's alive, he's in hell, he's dead, he's alive. No. It's just
and that could be also the problem with the main Marvel universe. It could be a problem with the DC universe too, which is why the Absolute line's probably gone insane. While the Ultimates went so heavy, people are like, "Oh, I don't have to have 85 years of continuity. I can just jump on board and be on the same page as everybody else." And enjoy the new Joker that's wearing a suit made of baby skin.
I think one of the things now, we've got Spider-Man coming up on issue 1000.
Yay! Which
And
is previewed sort of in the book, but they didn't give a price for it. They say, biggest Spider-Man ever. I'm expecting a $20 price tag on it.
what I hope they do is what DC did with the Action 1000 and Detective 1000, where, okay, here's the comic, and then a few months later, oh, here's the comic in hardcover with more stories.
Well, and there's about 24 variant covers. So
Yeah.
my guess is one of these days we're going to go to a shop and, hey, look, there's a bunch of these covers for $1.
But they're saying this will be the biggest revelation ever.
Yes.
And the one thing everybody is saying,
He's a clone.
we're going to find out that Aunt May is his mother.
That's been done.
Yeah.
Been done.
What Spider-Man does is it's a soap opera. And there are people who are still mad about stuff that happened 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
A new day.
But what they've really kind of done is we're not going to spend a lot of time on the older stuff other than the high points. Yes, Gwen Stacy died and Norman Osborn did it. And we're not going to talk about how Norman Osborn came back. We're just going to deal with the fact that he's here. He feels guilty. He's trying to make amends because somebody finally remembered that what made Norman Osborn evil was the goblin formula.
Yeah.
He was just a jerk until he had the goblin formula. Then he became evil. And somebody finally remembered that after decades. There are people who are saying, oh, there's too many Spider-Man books. And then I look at the sales and it's like, there's a reason why. It's like DC with Batman. Oh, there are too many members of the Bat family. Yeah, well, look at the sales.
Yeah.
If something sells, they're going to do more of it. It's that simple.
It's your fault. You, the buyer.
You, the fan, did this.
You did this to us.
But one of the things that Marvel that has happened with me over the years is because when a new creator takes over a book, for the most part, they're telling a full story with a beginning, middle, and end. So I don't want to read a novel chapter by chapter. When I sit down to read a novel, I'm going to read for a while and then, okay, I've been reading for 4 hours. I need to take a break, or, I read before I go to bed, or et cetera, et cetera. I don't read, oh, okay, this chapter came out this week. And then a month later, I'm going to read the next chapter. Then a month later, I'm going to read the next chapter. Back in the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, it kind of worked because comics were cheap. It was very soap opera-ish. They would end on cliffhangers, et cetera, et cetera. Now, because it's a different storytelling style, I would rather just, the last issue of Jed McKay's Avengers came out. Cool. I'm going to read his run now. Oh, wow, this was a really good run. X-Men is really doing that soap opera-y stuff. Spider-Man is doing that soap opera-y stuff, so I read those as they come out. But most other Marvel books, it's like, okay, oh, his run is done. Cool. I'll buy the omnibus or the trade paperbacks and read the whole run. Which, good for me, but probably bad for Marvel because DC is eating Marvel's fucking lunch. DC has a 36% market share, and Marvel is hovering at around 30. I don't know if this has anything to do with that, but Marvel has a new publisher. Dan Buckley was let go and a new guy was brought in because Disney has a new CEO. And the new guy has said some interesting things. The new guy in charge of Marvel Publishing was in charge of the Marvel TV series. And in an interview, he said that his favorite comics on the stands right now are the DC, the new DC Absolute stuff.
That explains. Hickman, you did an awesome kick-ass job on it. Let's make a new one.
Well,
and I'm sure he's got the ideas. I
well,
was excited when I saw his name attached to the one book.
That's Hickman's job at Marvel now. Because remember, he did, okay, here's the Ultimate line that Hickman created. Cool. Here's the Cosmic line Hickman created. Didn't do that well. Okay, now we're going to do the Dark line, which is a very vampire-focused line.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who's creating these new lines, partly because that's what he's really good at, and partly because if you look at what's working for Marvel in the other media, have you heard about Spider Noir on Amazon and how huge it is?
I'm saving it for my recovery.
It is getting great reviews. It is getting great viewer numbers. Spider-Gwen and the Spider-Verse, huge, the two movies that have been about it both did really, really well, far beyond what they expected for a Spider-Man animated movie. So Marvel is kind of looking at it. Disney's kind of looking at it for like, hey, we need more ideas like this. So, and for all the fans who are like, oh, they're making it so complicated for blah, 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 blah. If you look at the history of media, they're always doing different versions of something. When one version is done, when they bring it back, they don't do the same thing because, well, the Spider-Man we did in the 90s for Spider-Man the Animated Series, it had its run. It did okay. It came to the end. If you're going to pitch it, it's like, well, why would I want to do the same old thing when that ended 4 years ago? I'm going to have to do something new. And with Disney being the ones that do that a lot, Marvel Publishing is kind of looking at that as well. I think we're going to see more shakeups at Marvel because of the fact that they're number 2 now.
We're number 2. We're number 2.
Let's remember the last time Marvel was number 2, they were able to fire Jim Shooter.
We should, I think we've done that. What would we do if we were in charge of Marvel to make them number 1 again?
The first thing, let's say I become editor-in-chief at Marvel. First thing I'm going to do is go to the retailers. The current editor-in-chief at Marvel, C.B. Cebulski, whether you like him or not, and there are some things about him that people do not like.
Shocked, I tell you.
I would go to the retailers, and I wouldn't just, go to the retailer conferences. I would actually go to conventions, and in that convention, stop at all the stores in that city. I would go to Midtown Comics in New York. I would go to Jim Haney's Universe. That's still around in New York, right?
I believe so.
I
haven't been to New York since I stopped working there, but
I would go to the big New York comic shops. Then for San Diego, I would go to the LA comic shops. And Kansas City's convention, I would go to that convention and I would hit the comic shops. And I would be asking, what can we do? Now,
and
you're
like
going to get,
CrossGen did when they first started.
one of the things you're going to get is cut your prices. Because if you've noticed, and Marvel didn't make a big thing of it, they've slowly moved their prices up to $4.99.
Oh, did you see the Epic lines? They're $54.99.
Yeah.
Fuck you. There, I just included we get our X rating for the next decade. No effing way am I buying that shit.
Well, especially when DC's the DC Finest, $39.99. They're the same price.
And even then I bought.
Same size.
It's got to be something I really want to drop money. And we're not buying at retail, but I don't see how casual mom or dad are going to buy something for their kitty at that price.
Well, that's why DC started the smaller books, and Marvel's following. I would jump all over that because I forget what the line is called at DC, But DC Compact, those are selling
Mm-hmm.
huge.
And I love those because, some days I'm not reading at work anymore since I'm working checkpoints all the time. But I would stop at a comic store like right on the way to work, level up right there on the east side or west. Is it east side? No, west side, right on West 7th, right before you cross over the Mississippi River. I'd stop in, look at the compact books, $10. Hey, might be something I've never read, like Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. It might be something I have, Kingdom Come. I might even just leave it behind, let somebody else read it. But for
But for
10 bucks,
$10,
yeah, come on. Yeah, smaller size, whatever, but I can dig it. I can dig it.
the other thing DC has gotten back to, which I don't think enough comic fans realize this. They leave their stuff in print longer so that shops can reorder it. And when things go out of print, they do a new printing. They do new printing of the omnibuses. They do new printings of the DC Finest. They do new printings of that. With Marvel, you have to wait. They have said that the Epic line is going to be something that they keep in print. But the problem is they go so long with things out of print that the prices on them go up, especially the really early books. The
And I've
stuff that
seen that
reprints.
being complained about in retailer groups
Yeah,
because they're like, I not gonna if I can't buy books 4 and 5 out of a 10-book series, I'm not gonna stock the other ones because
yeah.
people will come in, not get them. Again, if you're a speculator, pick up one of the Epic and hang on till it's out of print, and then blow it out for $100.
And I would also pick up the epics that people would look at and go, ew, like
Ew,
like The Crossing,
ew.
because those are things that only the collectors are going to want.
Mm-hmm.
Although, man, I've noticed 90s nostalgia. I am sorry, but I've always said that once you get 20, 30 years out, people have nostalgia for things, even if they're crap. The 90s nostalgia, it just weirds me out. I'm sorry, it just weirds me out. It's
Yeah,
like, you have nostalgia for this stuff? This stuff
you
was
you like
terrible.
you like the Clone Saga, which
The
is out of
Clone
print, by the way.
Saga, Marvel has made more money off the Clone Saga now than they probably did during the Clone Saga with the omnibuses and the trade paperbacks and the epics and the collected editions and all that.
Yeah,
Everything comes around, man. Everything comes around. The second thing, like I said, the first thing I would do is find out what the retailers want. Second, because I'm sorry, comics, Marvel has slowly moved up to $4.99 a comic.
yep.
And to me, that's unsustainable. It's just unsustainable. And I know there's probably no way to get those prices down. But man, that is a hurdle. That is just a hurdle. Um, Second, I would twist whoever arm you need to make sure that you're able to have graphic novel backstock, collected edition backstock. DC used to kick everybody's ass with that. They're now back to kicking everybody's ass with that. I remember in the 90s, Marvel would put out a trade paperback and it would sell out, and good luck.
Yeah,
You're never seeing that again. Whereas DC, oh, the Superman Archive #4 has been out. I still need that. Came out 4 years ago. You could reorder it. And it would sell 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 because you've got that long tail, which we've talked about before. The long tail is you've got your stuff that sells really well, but then you have your stuff that sells 200-300 copies every year. That's where you make your money. It's why everybody wants evergreen books. An evergreen book is one of those that continues to sell year after year after year. The amount of money that DC and Alan Moore has made off Watchmen would frighten you. The amount of money that Frank Miller and DC have made off Dark Knight Returns would frighten you. The amount of money that Mark Waid and Alex Ross have made off Kingdom Come, on and on and on. Because you've got all your production costs out of the way. You're just reprinting it. And a reprint is a hell of a lot cheaper than, okay, we have to pay the per page rate. We have to pay for all the production. We have to pay for all of the office stuff. No, we just grab the digital file, send it to the printer. Boom, you're done. And Marvel needs to work more on getting those. I don't know if the new Ultimate line will become an evergreen, but I know that what they should be focusing on is keeping stuff in print and getting more evergreen books, getting more books that sell over and over and over and over for years and years and years and years. And then the last thing they need to do, and it's DC, this is why I think DC is eating Marvel's lunch. They fixed relationships with creators. There were creators who previous groups had sort of annoyed or not treated well. And Marie Javins, who's editor-in-chief over at DC, has come back and kind of repaired that. So you've got Scott Snyder, who created the Absolute line. But here's the hidden thing about Scott Snyder. He also runs a comic book school. He runs where he teaches people to write comics and to draw and all that. And because of his relationship with DC gets first look at those new creators. Marvel doesn't have that right now. Back when they had Brian Michael Bendis, and Brian Michael Bendis was the conduit to bringing in people, that's when Marvel really took off. They need to really focus on creating relationships with creators that are going to work long term, so that the creators not just are happy to work at Marvel and doing their best work, but also, hey, I've got this new kid here. You should have him work on Moon Knight. You should have him work on She-Hulk. You should have her draw this, so that they get their chops, learn how to do a monthly book, and you've got them hooked into the Marvel ecosystem for the next 10, 15 years. But those are the three big things I would do. You, of course, wouldn't do anything because you're going to be all hopped up on goofballs.
Yeah, screw you.
Where's my goof? Everybody,
where's my goofballs? High on goofballs, people.
Speaking of goofballs,
I want to say I actually got some email.
Really?
Of a sorts. Again, this was through eBay. One of our fan listener, he goes under the Jump Penick, JMPENICK on the eBays. And I say that because I want to check. I don't know if he sells at the Multiverse Vault of Goods. So while my eBay store is going down, you can go jump on his. But he bought a signed Ultimate Spider-Man #1 from J. Scott Campbell's collection. It was one of those I thought of keeping, but this was during the government shutdown, and I didn't need it. I've got a lot of J. Scott Campbell. Love to meet him in person, though. I have not met him. Anyways, he made an offer on something. I'll tell you what it is in a second. And, of course, he says, I think I might have shared this earlier. When he bought the Spider-Man, he was like, hey, big fan of the old podcast, long-term listener. Hope you're hanging in there. You get paid soon. And I said, well, I got paid today, so I got that going for me.
Which is nice.
A true geeking. Thank you for your purchase. Thank you for listening. Well, I didn't know, when you watch something on eBay, I don't know who's watching it. And pretty much anytime somebody watches something, I give them a quick offer. In this case, if I can find it here. Oh, excuse me while I whip this out.
Woo!
Oh, all right. Because it's very significant what he bought from me. It's a Superman DC production art. It's from the Jack Adler collection around 1975. These are the things they used probably on the 7-Eleven glasses. And people are watching them all the time. I have them priced what I think is pretty good. I actually confirmed it with another art collector. And anybody watches it, I make a quick offer. In this case, since I know I'm closing, I made a really good offer, and it happened to go to our good buddy there, Jump Pinnick. I don't want to say his real name because I didn't ask him for that. But he said, thank you for the great offer on the Superman item today. I listened to the latest podcast and heard your health updates. Hang in there, brother. Thinking positive thoughts for me. So I wrote, thank you. Appreciate you for listening. And I told him there's a bit of history behind this Superman DC production art. It was from Pat Gruber's collection, my late partner. I can almost hear him yelling, you sell that for too little. He wrote back, love it. I'll keep it in high honor, which I appreciate. Again, multiverse vault of goods if you want to go. He's got 426 items for sale. I had no idea what, but I'm going to go take a look. If he's got any signed stuff, I'm all over it. So, anyways, it was just kind of fun. We always like to hear from you. We appreciate all you listeners. Most of the time, we just get a number of how many people download it.
And it's
per
between
week and per month.
It's around between 4,000 and 6,000 during the first month. So thank you all.
And what I'm really trying to push Corey for, and I'll probably do this a little more aggressively after I am back and retired, still on board to retire in February, is try to make this more of a video podcast. Yes, Corey and I have faces built for radio. However, I think it would be fun, especially when we're like talking about items, because we could hold them up and say, look, this is what I got. Besides that, that's the new hip thing. I see all these guys, oh, look who's doing a podcast. No, they're doing a video cast, but whatever. We'll stay mired in the 2000s for now.
Damn right. You know what else we need to stay mired in?
A collector corner built for fellow nerds, fans, and completists, specializing in comics, graphic novels, and pulp culture collectibles. Sorry, that's the blurb for Multiverse Vault of Goods.
No, these guys, our sponsors.
Woohoo! I like sponsors.
Our newest sponsor is NordVPN. Let's be honest, if you're out on the internet, you need a VPN to protect you. There's all sorts of things going on the internet where people can track you. You could accidentally download a keylogger, all sorts of things. NordVPN gives the best security possible. It has a password manager which generates complex passwords, syncs across all your devices, stores your notes and credit card information. It also gives you 10 gigabytes of private cloud storage, secure files. It backs up your data automatically. But the main thing it gives you is peace of mind. It gives you peace of mind when you're out on the internet, when you're streaming, when you're playing games, when you're listening to podcasts like this one. It gives you safety anywhere at any time. It protects your online activity. You get full access to all content. And if you use the link go.nordvpn.net sh3ku, it'll take you to where you can get a great deal for a 1-month plan, a 2-year plan, a 1-year plan. They are our newest sponsor. We're happy to have them. And if you would like to sponsor something here at any of the podcasts on the Solitaire Rose Network, you can. Just email me, solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. Thanks.
And now it's time for retro reviews. Joe, of course, is ready for
nothing. I have all my boxes piled up. I might put them on our Facebook just to show you what I've done. Poor Chris. It's like watching a road getting constructed. It's a big ass mess, but once it's done, you're like, damn, this is nice. She hasn't said that, but she does now understand how I fit a 20 by 30 foot, 50-foot high vault full of highly desirable collectibles into my basement, which at best is 900 square feet. And I will say something, Court. Hang on a second. Chris, are you upstairs? Hello? I got way too much stuff. I mean, good gravy. I had some time while I was recovering, and I'll talk about this a little bit. But I was like, oh, let's go up to have. It was on Memorial Day, and I was actually off because I took it off instead of work. And Chris is out of town. All my friends are out camping. I got nothing. I call Half Price Bookstore. I'll let you open. Oh, normal hours 8:00. I'm like, hey, maybe I'll go, because every comic shop in town, of course, is closed. At least the ones I'm aware of. And of course, I always get a little nostalgic, and I've shared this story before, because my good buddy Mike Edmondson would always want to work on holidays because his friends worked at the Rodeo, which is the now defunct Rope and Dope bar, country western bar. He's like, yeah, we don't start till 10:00, so I got nothing to do. And I'd be like, okay, the other employees didn't want to do it. I give Mike double time. He made enough money to cover his salary, then some. And I think he only did it Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. He offered to do it Christmas and Thanksgiving, but I was tempted on Thanksgiving, but I said no. And I don't recall if I was ever open on New Year's. I don't think I was New Year's, because New Year's, obviously, big night to be drunk at the Rope and Dope. So there, I derailed the conversation. But what you got for retro review today?
I have a comic, a magazine. This is issue 2, May 1956. An original EC Picto-Fiction. Confessions, Adult Romances Illustrated. Has a painted cover, and it lists the stories as Unfaithful Wife, I Sold My Baby, and Man Crazy.
Woo!
And it has a very typical romance cover. A couple on a beach. The woman's wearing a bikini in 1956.
Wait, with a belly button?
No, the belly button is not shown.
Oh, okay. Almost a scandal there.
Because it's a painting. But it's very much the man is behind her, kissing her neck, and she's got her eyes closed. And it says on the bottom, introducing Picto-Fiction. Now, when you get to the ads, they're a little higher class than most comic ads. The first one is, it's almost like, it reminds me of in the 70s when you would get the crossword puzzle magazines. Can you solve these 3 puzzles? If you can, you could win up to $100,000 in cash prizes.
Hey, it took us a long enough time to find who won the Toys R Us prize comics. I ain't going to go hunting down that crap.
Well, I remember these ads all the time, and I always wondered, what was up with them. And what it is, they're basically trying to get your address, and then they would send you of mail order catalogs for like crossword magazines. And all that. And it would say, here are all the prizes we're giving, but it never says when they're giving them out or how long the contest lasts, etc., etc. And no one's ever going to follow up on that. The second one is make $15 a day and more Learn practical nursing at home in 12 short weeks. It's a home study course to be a nurse. Let's see. The Postgraduate Hospital School of Nursing out of Chicago, Illinois. Doesn't say how much it is. It just says, send me without obligation your free 16-page sample lesson and free booklet on high-paying opportunities in nursing. So, Confessions Illustrated, let's see here. I will read the editorial, which was written by Albert B. Feldstein. This is the second issue of Confessions Illustrated, one of a series of 4 new magazines to be presented in a novel and revolutionary form of adult entertainment, which we at EC call Pictofiction. The others are Crime Illustrated, Adult Tales of Terror Illustrated, and Shock Illustrated. At this writing, Letters on Confessions first issue are just beginning to come in. Here are a few excerpts. A most unique idea in reading Confessions Illustrated is opening a new era of fiction. I salute the whole staff and especially the originator of Pictofiction. Romance stories have finally come alive with your new medium of Pictofiction. I have never enjoyed a love story magazine as much as I did your first issue of Confessions Illustrated. We plan a reader's letter page in the next issue. We welcome your mail. Now, it says on the cover it's an EC magazine. But when you go to the Indicta, it is a Gaines publication. Published quarterly, 12 issues for $3 in the U.S., elsewhere $3.75. The publisher, William M. Gaines, editor, Albert B. Feldstein, business manager, Lyle Stewart. If you want to find out a really interesting human being, look up Lyle Stewart, who was William Gaines's lawyer and was involved in a lot of high-profile First Amendment legal cases. Really interesting guy. So, what is Pictofiction? Pictofiction is short stories with illustrations. So you've got basically you have a paragraph or two with a picture underneath, and they use a lot of the they use the EC artists. So I Sold My Baby was illustrated by Jack Kamen.
I sold my baby.
Unfaithful Wife, illustrated by Reed Crandall. Yes, the guy who created the Blackhawks. They Ran Me Out of Town, illustrated by Jack Kamen. I Destroyed My Marriage, illustrated by Joe Orlando. That's right, the artist who was the editor of DC's horror books through the 70s. And then the last one, Man Crazy, illustrated by Johnny Craig. It's a 60-page magazine. And the stories are very sensationalized romance stories. The first one is a woman who became in the family way with a soldier who died overseas during Korea. She didn't have the money to take care of the baby, but she knows of a friend who works at the same factory she does, who was in the family way, and her boyfriend took off, and she came back from her pregnancy and didn't have a baby, so calls her up and, oh my gosh, this is how to this is sort of how you can sell your baby, but she doesn't want to give up the baby because it's the only thing she has left of her boyfriend. She goes to church to pray for answers. The people at the agency are scumbags and kind of creep her out, and she decides, you know, let's see here. You don't understand, I said. Why should you give me all that money after helping me to have my baby? That's the deal, lady, he snapped. You get $500 after you sign the baby over to us. Sign my baby over? I got to my feet and looked around. Suddenly it dawned on me what was going on. I was in the process of making arrangements to sell my baby. No, no, I cried. There's been a mistake. I don't want to sell my baby. It's mine. He leaped up from the desk and grabbed my arm. What's the idea? You trying to make trouble or something?
Or something.
Then there's a lot of, oh my gosh, whatever shall I do? Um, and what's the EC twist at the end of the story? Her boyfriend was only presumed dead. His plane crashed in flames, but he was able to parachute out and he's alive and coming home. Oh, Paul, Paul, I sobbed. How I missed you, my darling. You have no idea what I went through. You have no idea what it was like thinking you were dead. They then find the baby because, she had, the scumbag had, hey, you signed the baby over to this lady. Well, her and her boyfriend find the baby, they rescue the baby, and then they get married. So all of the stories are romance stories. And the reason this magazine failed, and all of the other pictofiction failed, there were only 2 issues of each of them printed. Well, there was a 3rd issue for, I think, terror and crime, but they didn't have the money to bind them. Gaines had completely run out of money. He didn't have the money to bind them. He didn't have the money to get them to the newsstand. They had the pages printed. So what they did in the office, they stapled about 300 copies to sell via mail and give out to fans and people who worked on it. And this was when, so Al Feldstein, everybody was let go. All Gaines had at the time was Mad. And Kurtzman was so slow that it was supposed to be coming out bi-monthly, and it was barely making quarterly because, as I've talked in the past, when Kurtzman went over to work for Hugh Hefner said, Harvey Kurtzman's a guy you could give an unlimited budget and he'd still go over. But the reason these didn't work is, while the art is nice, the stories are just super bland. The prose is not that well written, as you could tell from what I read. What worked as a comic story when you wrote it as prose, especially when, they weren't, most of the people writing this were comic writers. They weren't used to writing prose. So it comes off as very clunky. You also had the fact that pulp magazines were dead and dying. People weren't buying magazines like this. They were buying stuff like Confessions. They were buying Slicks. They were buying the high-end stuff. The golden age of pulps was long over. The Shadow magazine was gone. Doc Savage was gone. Most of the only ones that really were still around were what they called men's sweat magazines, which were, the stuff Martin Goodman published where, about He-Man doing He-Man things and pictures of women in various stages of undress. That's what sold. Plus, distribution around this time was falling apart. I've told that story a whole bunch of times where American International got new owners, and the new owners found out, hey, we can make more money off the land than we do off distributing magazines. So we're done distributing magazines. We're just going to sell the land that all the warehouses are on. And that's what caused the Marvel Atlas collapse. It's what shut down a lot of the smaller comic publishers, et cetera, et cetera. Gaines had already lost a ton of money. These things did not sell well. So by the time it got to the 3rd issue, the money was gone. And I think I've told the story a whole bunch of times where Harvey Kurtzman, right after the Pictofiction magazines died, Harvey Kurtzman came in and said, you need to give me 51% ownership of Mad or I walk. And remember how I mentioned Lyle Stewart? Gaines was freaking out. It's like, well, Mad's the only thing I've got. And Lyle Stewart told him, tell Kurtzman to walk. Fuck him. So Gaines did. Kurtzman went over to Hugh Hefner, where we got 2 issues of Trump magazine. And Al Feldstein came in, took over Mad, and Mad is still going today.
Yay.
So there you go. On the buy, borrow, ignore, this is an ignore.
Even for $1?
Oh, you're not going to find Confessions Illustrated #2 for $1.
Okay, just checking. You never know what you'll find.
Oh, these are one of the rarest. The Picto Fiction are the rarest of the rare. The reason I'm able to read it is because it was the last of the Russ Cochran EC sets that were put out. I actually, because remember, I wanted those Russ Cochran EC sets. The last one to come out. Joe, do you remember when it came out?
I don't even remember them.
It came out when you had Crazy Comics.
Oh, good grief. That would be like 2005, I think I closed that shop.
Because they put out the pre-trend, which was the stuff that EC did before Tales from the Crypt. They put that out in the mid-90s. That was the last one. And, they said, oh, we're going to do Picto Fiction. And they kept putting it off because Russ Cochran wanted everything. And they were finally able to make a deal with Frank Frazetta's estate, because when the Picto Fiction line folded, Frank Frazetta was in the middle of doing stuff for it. So they made a deal with the estate to get the Picto Fiction stuff that Frank Frazetta was working on and put in the hardcover books. And I've read them all. I'm glad I've read them. They're awful. The art is beautiful. The stories are either just retellings of EC stories or just kind of really bad short stories like this one. So on the buy, borrow, ignore, it's an ignore. If you are an EC completist, I can see you getting it, but literally every EC fan I have ever talked to was incredibly disappointed by these books. And now it's time for Joe's favorite part of the show.
Oh, yeah.
What's in the bag?
All right, give me a number 1 through 50.
23.
21, 22, 23. I pull out a Vampirella Winter Special 2026.
Feels like you got a lot of
Blood Bag mystery variant. Well, they seem. Well, then the one thing that's nice about the Vampirellas is there's just a single comic in it, so I'm not paying like $20 for 3. And it just so happened to be the where it landed. I'm just looking because I got, let's see, I got Dynamite, lots of Dynamite, some Marvel, some Mark Spears, and still got an Ultimate Endgame 1. That's okay. All right, let me fire up the old eBays here, because once we're done with it, I'll see if it's worth anything. Can I retire on it? All right, so this is a one shot from Dynamite. Easy to cut open. Dun, dun, dun. And I slip it out. This bag contains one Dynamite variant cover. I'd be shocked if it carried a Marvel cover.
Well, you never know.
Or what's fun is like when you say one of the rare variant covers. All right. It's a winter special cover, a Joe Linsner black and white blind bag variant cover M. So let's type that in the old eBays. I really haven't found anything like super, like, oh my God. But I got a lot of bags. Okay, so we'll do variant cover M. Survey says, dun, dun, dun. Holy cow, there's a few here. There's one that's a C.S. Warren cover that's like $100. I didn't get that one. But let's see, flip it around. Lowest first, about $10. So considering this thing I paid $12 for, I've lost $2 on it. And again, that's not a knock on Joe. This is a very nice cover, but it doesn't. They don't give the odds of it either. So, Oh, well, I got one to read and I'll put it away for a while because obviously I'm not going to be doing any eBay for a while. There you go. That's what's in the bag. What's in the bag?
And now it's time for my favorite part of the show. No, not where I eat an entire pizza over the day.
Oh, I did that like in an hour.
Pizza. No, it's freaking it's freaking and geeking, Joe. What are you freaking on?
Oh, my surgery. I mean, it's starting to get real. And I think what it was is when I went in and got my sling fitted. I mean, the contraption's just amazing. And it's funny because they got the thing open and they're like, you right or left-handed? Right-handed. Okay, they throw this part away. And that's, I think, a problem in my brain. I'm just not like a throw it away person. Whereas my wife is, what's this worth? I don't know, throw it away. And then I'm stopping and I'm like, honey, see that pile of like 8 long boxes? There's literally 10 grand worth of graphic novels in there. That's why if something were to happen to me, you, Butch, you're on the short list, come over, move it in the garage. It's easy now. It's all in the basement. Get you guys in shape yet. But so everything's kind of gridlocked. The idea that I'm having the surgery, what's really torquing me off is work. Duh. It's like, okay, 6 months return recovery time. Well, we can only approve 6 weeks. Brain fart. Okay, it would have been nice to have been told that when I turned in all the paperwork for 6 months, because now I got to redo all the paperwork. Why only 6 months? Well, they don't want to do more than 6 months. Okay, I got a doctor note that says I'm going to be recovering for 6 months. Matter of fact, it says I will be pretty much immobile in 6 weeks. Well, you can come in and just refill the paperwork. I can't drive. You don't drive one-handed in a sling, even if I'm not on oxycodone. Well, you need to get a doctor's note every 6 weeks. I need a new doctor's note. The number one guy who works on athletes, who does shoulder surgeries, among other things, you're telling him his word isn't good enough. Again, I've done this before. When I had my hips done, they call it LWOP, leave without pay. In order to get LWOP, that's what allow workers' comp to pay my salary. If they only prove it 6 weeks out, that means in the middle of my recovery, I have to stop and fill all the fucking paperwork out again instead of just having it done, ready to go. Why does TSA do this? Because they can. I'm not unsympathetic. I can name 2 people I know of that tried to milk the workers' comp system before they eventually either quit or settled or whatever the fuck happened to them.
Oh, I know somebody who really milked the workers' comp system to the point where every time I would see them, he would like, "Is there any cars outside? Because I hear they've hired detectives to watch me," and they had.
Yeah.
Because he was scamming them,
Yeah.
but he didn't
So
get
there
caught.
again,
So
there is a reason for it. It's just I went from, okay, everything's settled, I'm ready to go and get my brain into retirement to, oh no, somehow I have to figure out every 6 weeks, get this going. And then the brain farts said, well, the doctor note that he sent said that you will be in a sling for 6 weeks and that your total recovery time's 6 months. Does not say you cannot come to work. And I'm like, are you out of your effing mind? Again, a workers' comp deal. They want you back to work as soon as possible. Not that I'm necessarily going to be screening luggage or giving people pat downs for groin anomalies, but maybe I'll be sitting at tickets. Maybe I'll be sitting in the answer session. They have a welcoming room. Like if you have business with TSA, come in and say, hi, who are you? Why should I let you into our secret solitude fortress? Go to this other place called the Solitaire Rose Compound. Here's a key. It's fucking
sorry, I'm the only
mind-boggling.
one who works here.
So instead of like getting ready to just relax, I won't be able to. I've got to fill out forms every 2 weeks if I want to get paid. I got to get a doctor's note. The doctor's like, why? And it's not even the person I'll be working with is the therapist. They won't even accept the therapist note. Just fucking A, people. I have hurt myself on your goddamn job. And I've done this 9 times in the 24 years I've been here. The other 9 times didn't result in surgery. It just resulted in rest and time and recovery. Just, I'm so fucking tired of it. And I haven't even gotten the goddamn surgery. I'm 3 weeks away from it as we're recording. Urgh. Speaking of recliner stories, so we went to Bob's Furniture. I think that's the name of the joint. And we ordered a recliner that my wife and my daughter had seen. Well, I don't know where the hell I was. I might have been out of work or so. I don't know where I was, but it's a huge recliner. I'll post a picture of it on my Facebook page eventually. And my daughter and I can both sit in it. It's got a comfy lift chair, kind of pushes forward. I don't know if you remember those from the comic ads. You can have a comfy lift chair, and they show a real old person very happy that she can stand up now. It reclines totally. It has a vibrator. It has a heat massager on it back. It's got sides for Coke. So we finally get the chair in. They come in, they put the chair in, they assemble it. They're getting ready to show us how to work it. They take the old recliner away. And then Chris notices something. There's 2 cup holders in the armrest. This is not the chair we wanted. And they're like, well, their orders are just to deliver, not return. They take the old chair back. And so now we have to call Bob and say, where's the chair we ordered? This is not the chair we ordered. It doesn't have any of the features I just talked about. All it has is 2 strategically placed cup holders. Well, apparently they just grabbed a box. This thing I think is called the Zeus. They just grabbed one out of the warehouse. And it wasn't even the right color. It's supposed to be brown. We got a beige one. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. You guys use this one until we can get a brown one in stock. Well, when's that going to be? Right now, there's no factory date as to when we're getting a restock in brown. Usually that means they're changing it somehow. Okay, we don't want this chair sitting here for months, especially since it's not going to do what I need it to do. Well, we can send you the beige chair. Fine. Send me the beige chair. Now we got it. It's doing everything I want it to do. Matter of fact, sometimes in the morning I wake up and my back's a little stiff. I'll just sit down, put the heat on, put the vibrator on. About 5-10 minutes, I feel a lot better. But it was just such a pain in the ass. The other thing that was hard is that my wife doesn't deal with retail very well. Me being a retail person, I understand. Just stay calm, stay relaxed. You can let them know you're upset, but don't yell. Never helps to yell. They'll still take care of you, but I'm sure as Corey can attest, yelling at the person on the phone you're trying to get help from just slows the process down.
And the person on the phone is limited in what they can do. Remember that if you have to give your name to someone, if you wear a name tag, or when you answer the phone, you have to say, hi, my name is Corey. You have no power. Anyone with a name tag has no power. It's
I always love
okay
it.
to
I
say,
need your last name. Nope.
I am prohibited from giving that out.
Yep.
It is okay. I have no problem with somebody when I say, this is what I can do, and someone says, I need to talk to a supervisor, because supervisors have more leeway. Just remember, you may have to wait for the supervisor to call you back, because I will stay on the phone until a supervisor's available. It doesn't work that way. I cannot let you clog up a phone line because my supervisor is in a meeting with the client that will last for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Or they could be dealing with somebody else. You never know. I mean, I have that at TSA occasionally, and my favorite, of course, is when they just don't listen. It's kind of like I was talking to the one lady. And when you go through the body scanner, it basically pops down with the same micro millimeter technology that cell phones use, bounces off your skin and comes back. If there's anything there, it'll pick it up. I go through it every day because I have metal hips. Caught me on a dime the other day. You'd think I'd know better. After all these years, I thought I had it out of my pocket. I just forgot. But she was wearing an outfit that had buttons on it. So I suggested maybe you take the outer coat off. I don't want to. Okay, if she had a halter top on underneath, I guess I understand that. And I'm like, well, see, when you go through it, I've been through it already. If you, I don't want to take it out. I said, listen, we don't charge extra for pat downs. If you want to get a pat down because you don't want to take your coat off, go ahead. I don't care. We're here whether you want it or not, and we never charge extras for pat downs. She took it off. I didn't go to the back of the checkpoint because she was back there for about 15 minutes. Can you guess why, Corey? Now keep in mind, you're going through some of the old stool x-ray machines, not the new fancy ones.
I honestly would not know why.
She didn't listen to what I was saying. Take your electronics out. Take your liquids out. The two things TSA hates most of all in luggage. I'll caveat that by saying we have brand new x-ray machines where you don't have to do that. You just fit it all in a bin, send it in. We're working on the new technology where you get to sit down and pull the bar back, TSA Disney present the ride, and you just go right through. That's actually true. The question is, why do we have all this stuff, especially the body scanners? Oh, I don't know. The underwear bomber comes to mind. Anyways, just relax. I know you're upset. Just be kind. We'll get you through. Obviously, I'm freaking out because, hey, how about that? Project 2025 said they want to privatize TSA. They already have the program in place to do it. They just haven't told Congress about it. Now they're starting to, and the whole airline industry is going, wait a minute. Although they got distracted. Yeah, we're not going to put Border Patrol in blue sanctuary cities anymore and allow people to fly in internationally. You know the airlines all did that. What's the name of that guy who he watches like disasters unfold and then just kind of deadpans the camera? You can see the airlines just doing that like, really? Are you that stupid? However, they stopped talking about the
Or you have
privatization of TSA.
who was the character in Crisis who showed up? Pariah.
Oh, yeah.
Shows up. No, we can't change anything.
I'm going to change something. So, but like I said, they're not talking about privatizing TSA anymore. Just crazy. I hope I'm out of there before it happens. The big thing that they're missing is that all these small airports like St. Cloud, maybe Duluth, they will be forced to privatize. I can tell you why that's a spectacularly bad idea. Probably go back into some of the podcasts when I was on the road and I got sent to these small airports. Why? You could not get people to work there. The other thing that's weird about all this is, when I was at one of these small airports, they brought some people from one of the private firms that actually is functioning. And I was interested to talk to them. How's things going? Oh, well, we just had to take a $10 an hour pay cut. Wait a minute. You're supposed to be equal with our pay. Well, our total compensation is. Our benefits are better, but that allows them to cut the pay. And then you're arguing with some dumbass online. Oh, $10 isn't much. Say, asshole, per hour. That's a lot, especially when you're living in a major city where a lot of these places work. So again, they're pushing to have it done. It'll probably get done. And your airline security will be to the lowest bidder. And people are like, well, they have a contract. Well, that's the funny thing about government contractors. They bid low, so they get the contract, but then you think they're going to go, we are running out of money. We may have to shut down all airport security. Why do you think jets, fighters go into multi-billion dollars over their contracted price? Because there's no way someone's going to go, let's stop making these things, especially the congressional personnel whose district all the people are employed at. I saw something about a little Navy jet there, a little Navy ship. They tried to make these new ships with high technology and lesser guns so they move faster. They're basically sitting duck cans. They're not canceling them. They're not using them. They're the ones that were assigned to go to the Iran war in the Straits, nowhere near the Straits. So again, I'm getting way more political. I'm way more torqued off than I am. But this is your government at work. Doesn't matter who it is, Democrats, Republicans, they're just there to give away your tax money, and it ain't to you. Excuse me, gotta get off my soapbox. Corey, what you freaking on?
One of the things that I really enjoy is
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
MeTV
It's a
tunes.
rated PG. Oh, never mind. I'll mute myself.
And one of the things that I do with MeTV tunes is they have the Sunday Night All Stars, which is a 3-hour block of theatrical cartoons. You get Looney Tunes, you get the weird Columbia cartoons, you get the Max Fleischer cartoons, you get. But there's one thing that you get that I am just sick to goddamn death of: Casper the Friendly Ghost. Now, as a kid, I had never seen any Casper cartoons. They did not show Harvey Toons in Peoria. And I was, as a kid, Harvey comics were my jam. Loved Casper. Loved Little Dot. Loved Richie Rich. Did not much care for Baby Huey. Kind of liked Spooky. Kind of liked Hot Stuff. But man, those Casper cartoons are just awful. They're just awful. It's the same joke. You know, Casper wants a friend. And he scares everybody. And then there's one person who's got some sort of reason to not know that he's a ghost. But then when he finds out he's a ghost, he freaks out. Casper walks away crying. Something horrible happens to that person, and Casper saves them, and then they're friends. So it's basically 9 hours. I'm sorry, feels like 9 hours. 7 minutes of sad. I don't want 7 minutes of sad. I want cartoons that are either funny or so weird that you go, what in the hell was that? Like all the Columbia cartoons. Man, those Columbia cartoons are just weird.
Oh, the circle in the line?
No, that was
Oh, that was Warner Brother.
not only was that Warner Brothers, that was Chuck Jones. No, they're like,
Yeah.
I talked about the Little Match Girl, where it's, basically it's, the little match girl passes out because of the cold and has these, weird dreams, and then an angel comes and takes her ghost away. But, and the other thing is, Minnesota's weather is annoying me. We go from it's chilly every day, it's chilly every day, it's chilly every day to, oh my God, the humidity's 90 degrees. It's 90-degree heat and 90% humidity. No in between. And I'm hearing that the what the El Nino is the worst ever. So this may be one of those summers where you're going to bake slowly all summer long. So we did not have a time period when it was, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to sit on the deck. It'll be, it'll be nice. Maybe a little bit of briskness in the air. But once the sun comes out, no, it's went from, well, I need a really heavy jacket to, I'm dying. And I wouldn't be a Minnesotan if I wouldn't complain about the heat. By the way, this is the, how long have I lived here? 39 years. I've lived in Minnesota 39 years. And I still haven't had a tater tot hot dish. Joe, what are you geeking on?
Well, I'm sorry. You caught me mid-bite. They just had the mid-fair thing going on. Where they decided during COVID to have a mini fair. So they opened up certain things, and then they had, I think, like Earth, Wind, and Fire, whatever. So my wife brought me back a jar of one of the tubs of Martha's sweet cookies.
Oh,
Yum yum. And they're
I
almost
thought you
gone,
were
so I
eating
don't have.
hot dish.
No. Next time maybe.
Tater tot hot dish.
I don't know if this will work, but Dana has a friend who apparently worked as an editor at Marvel Comic. If you'd like, I could try to get his name, and maybe you guys could do a podcast while I'm recuperating.
That would be awesome.
Cool. I'll send a note to her. Dana actually had a brief surgery done, so she's recovering. My wife was gone during the Memorial Day, which I was talking about, when I was thinking of going. So I behaved myself. I did, however, buy a signed item.
Really? I'm so shocked.
Oh, you will be, because you remember a little show Patrick McGowan did called The Prisoner?
Yes.
Do you remember in the episode It's Your Funeral, number 50, who was apparently the played by Annette Andre, and I think she was the clockmaker's daughter, if you recall that episode. So they had Wandering Toys does a partnership with ITV Studio and has been doing waves of prisoner figures. Well, they had the opportunity, and they had the actress sign some of the figures, and she only did 50, and so I was at work, and I just so happened the alarm went off, and I'm like, oh, get online. I scored one. Hooray. So I thought that was kind of a neat idea. And I do, much as I love signed comics, I do have a number of things that are not signed, or I should say that are signed but not comic related. And I'm just looking behind me. I've got one. Here's a Babylon 5 card signed by Michael York, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then I also have one for pro wrestling legend, AWA wrestling legend, Baron Von Raschke. This one's actually card certified as an authentic signature, although they didn't rate the card, which I thought was interesting. I mentioned about Michael York because I was happy to find my disc of Logan's Run.
Ooh.
Which was a movie, what was that, 1975, 74?
76.
76. Okay, well, that dates me, because that was one of the first movies I actually saw by myself. And what's weird about it is that the only thing I remember is being semi-scandalized, because when this is spoiler movies for a decades-old movie, there's a scene where they escape the city and they run into this thing named Box. And what Box has been doing is grabbing the runners and freezing them. And as they go through and they see all these people who have been frozen, there's naked boobies. And of course, the guys are naked, but they're covered up in their strategic spots. And of course, I was scandalized by that. Although in the rerun watch, I totally blanked on the fact that one of the actresses, the main actress, excuse me while I check this out. Let's see, Logan's Run. So that would have been Jennifer Agutter, who plays Jessica Six. She goes topless. Actually, I think she goes buttless too. Michael York didn't. He got to keep his pants on. But yeah, you see her butt.
You said buttless. She has no butt.
Yep. He went buttless. And, well, we don't know. It was quite a shapely. I mean, and there's also other scenes like when they're running through this lush thing where there's naked people. And it's like, I don't recall seeing that because I was more into the science fiction stuff.
I still remember when PG movies would have nudity. And it's why when I was a kid, we weren't allowed to see PG movies.
Yeah.
It was only G-rated movies. My parents,
PG-13 was years away.
Yeah. But they don't even have nudity in PG-13 anymore.
Yeah.
But
now I'm big on
It's funny
Logan's
when I'm
Run.
watching a PG movie and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this came out in the
Yeah,
70s, didn't it?
yeah, exactly. That was the kind of thing. Is like I don't even remember her being naked. Farrah Fawcett's in it too. Farrah Fawcett Majors. She doesn't go naked.
No, but man, when they showed it on TV, you would have thought she
Oh,
was the star of the movie.
oh yeah. They
Every
run the same
ad
thing.
for it was Farrah Fawcett Majors
Oh yeah,
in
and they did a
Logan's
big buildup
Run.
of her on the thing because there's actually the making of. And so what I thought was interesting though, do you remember what runs the city?
I do not. I remember the book a
It's
lot more because I've read
yeah,
the trilogy,
yeah. The
which
book's
really fascinating
fantastic.
stuff.
Yeah, the book's fantastic and they talk a little bit if you read the Wikipedia stuff. Because after I see a movie, I'll read the Wikipedia how they shrink things down, and that's when they decided two things. First of all, you don't die at 20, you die at 30 because that also opens up the realm of young actors that can play. And they took place in a city, not the entire world. Because now when I watch this, I start picking it apart like, okay, a disaster happened. Who the hell built the cities? How many people died before the city? Obviously people were left behind because they run into what's the actor's name? Peter Ustinov. They
Oh
run
yeah.
into him on the outside. It was just interesting because even when they are going through, when the scenes under the city, I guess, are taking place in a sewer plant and it's rusty and it's dirty and it's whatever, there's a lot of plot holes. I mean, there's like one where I think that Francis, who's chasing him, Logan's best friend, shoots something. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, a glass panel breaks and water flushes Jessica and Logan away, floods the chamber. How did Francis get free? There's a scene where they accidentally get onto an elevator and it goes up to Box's realm, and Logan tries to stop it, but it doesn't. Well, Francis comes stumbling through. Matter of fact, there's a lot of people who go stumbling through, and then they run into Box, who flash freezes them. Obviously, Logan, Jessica, and Francis don't because, otherwise that's the end of the movie. And how does the elevator get back down if it's mechanical? Towards the end of the movie, major spoiler, everything blows up. All the people that are inside come out. They meet Peter Ustinov. He's old. They touch him. Oh, happy, happy. There are literally thousands of people in these domes. How many? I guess that's why I like the Logan's Run comic, because they do what they'd probably do after they're stunned and out. They start fighting. It's too bad there's only 2 issues of Logan's Run that continued before it got canceled. But what I found interesting is the city is run by a computer, kind of an AI. And that's what kind of starts, because when they see that Logan has an ankh that he picked up off a runner, they question him about it. And as in the AI computer, and the whole thing goes, there are 1,086 runners unaccounted for. What is this object? He didn't know. It's called an ankh. How does it relate to sanctuary? I've never heard of sanctuary before. Your job, and Logan, is to seek out sanctuary. You're authorized to breach the seals of the city. And he goes, well, wait a minute. Didn't some of them renew? They renew as you basically go into this carousel and you float up in the air and your body explodes and you get reformed as a new child. So, like, he's Logan 6. There'll be
Logan 7.
Yeah, exactly. Question: how many have some of these runners renewed? No answer. Question: has anybody renewed? Your question has been answered in a real, monolithic female computer voice. And he suddenly realized nobody renews, which gets him running. Of course, I just kind of find that interesting, that it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of what we're building, all these big ass AI centers and sucking up electricity and water. In this case, it's just to let people get rich. But when they come and fit you for that life clock in your palm, You heard it here first. Well, back in 1976, anyways. It was a fun film. I cannot help but think it would make a spectacular miniseries, especially like Corey said. If you've only experienced this through the film or the really, really bad TV show, which I won't mention. Oh, damn it, I just did. The books are fabulous. I have all three of them. Probably, like, it's one of those things where I buy multiples because I don't know where they went, but I want to reread it every so often. I actually have a signed one here too. I picked it up at Dreamhaven. I'm not sure where it went. Signed by one of the authors. So I like signed stuff. I've had enough geeking for today. Corey, what you geeking on?
First off, I am off this weekend. I am still getting used to the fact that I get every other weekend off. And even the weekends I work, I am done with work at 7 a.m. and I don't have to be back at work till 10 p.m. So it's effectively, the day off because I leave at 7. The clients don't get up till 8. So it's basically I sleep somewhere else. I'm slowly organizing the comics that have been accumulating since the pandemic because
What are you talking about? That's my career.
Well, it's because I was working so much. It's like, oh, just put it here and deal with it later because I was, working all the time. And if you came in the house now, you'd look at it and go, good Lord, you're a hoarder. But it's more, okay, I need to arrange this so I can move these in here. And it's going to take all summer because it's not like I go, all right, I'm going to spend 8 hours doing it. It's more like, okay, I'm going to spend about an hour cleaning and moving and okay, it's time off. I'm going to watch a movie. Yeah, I still have football on my DVR.
I don't feel you ready for some football.
Yes, I am. I'm in the
No, you're not.
playoffs.
Just admit you're not ready for football.
I have a feeling I'm going to get done with the Super Bowl when the preseason starts.
We're going to have an intervention for you.
Last weekend was AEW's Double or Nothing, which may have been their best pay-per-view ever. Top to bottom, a fantastic card. There was only one match where I went, please God, let this be over. And it's because they, at all their pay-per-views, they have this internet guy, Big Boom AJ, his son, Big Justice, and their friend, the Rizzler. And Big Boom AJ was a wrestler years and years ago. And they're the Costco guys who do raps about double chocolate cookies. And I'm sorry, their 15 minutes of fame was over about a year and a half, 2 years ago, but they're on every pay-per-view and they get the win. So every pay-per-view, a wrestler I like who, plays a heel has to look up at the lights for this part-time overweight guy who's painfully out of shape who, Joe, do you know the term blown up in wrestling?
I don't.
It's when you have not done enough cardio and you're the Ultimate Warrior, when he would run down to the ring and then shake the ropes, and then you'd see that he'd be breathing hard, so he'd have to take a little time where he'd take a beating so he could recover. Big Boom AJ is like that after like a minute and a half in the ring. He's breathing hard, his face is red, he's sweating. It's like, dude, if you're going to keep doing this, at least go to the gym and get on the treadmill and put in some time so that you don't get winded coming down to the ring and doing a clothesline.
I mean, come on. Taylor Swift sings her entire 3-hour concert on a treadmill for exactly that reason, so that she doesn't, what was the term?
Blow up.
She doesn't blow up on stage.
I am a fan of Baby Metal. If you have watched one of their concerts, they are doing heavy dancing moves for an hour while singing. I watched the movie that they had in theaters, and halfway through, you could see the sweat is just pouring down their faces. and yet they're still doing the dancing, they're still smiling, and they're still singing. Dude, you're getting paid. Okay? If it's I get paid to write about wrestling, so I work really hard to do better at it every time. But the rest of the show was just fantastic. You had Edge and Christian under their new names, Christian Cage and Adam Copeland, winning the tag team titles. You had some just fantastic, off the chart, great matches. Well worth the money. Could not have enjoyed it more. Comic wise, man, there's some weird stuff going on at Dark Horse. Mike Richards, who was, let go, the guy who founded it and then sold it and was still in charge, and they let him go a few months ago. He's kind of refused to leave the building because he owns the building. So every part that's not Dark Horse, he's turning into a museum.
Wow. Road trip.
I have a feeling that Dark Horse will be moving out of that building at some point. Also, the employees at Dark Horse have unionized. I think they are the first comic company with a union. Although I've read somewhere where workers at Image are trying to unionize, which would be really interesting. And last, we finally got the solicitation for the Dark Horse Marvel reprints. They look really nice. I don't know if I'll be getting the Magneto book, but I'm definitely getting the Marvel Monster book because they've got stories from, the pre-hero stuff, but also the monster stories from the last few decades. So looking forward to what Dark Horse does with their reprints. I think it's really interesting that Fantagraphics is doing reprints and Dark Horse is doing reprints, and Image is even with the the artist editions. They could be doing some Marvel reprints. Can you imagine Image doing Marvel reprints back in 1993, Joe?
No. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's almost a golden age of reprints now.
Yes, it is. And the last thing I'm geeking on was an announcement that came out, I think, either yesterday or Thursday. Joe, did you hear what Robert Kirkman is doing now?
Counting his money.
He's going to get more money.
Ooh.
He has purchased the rights to the Gold Key heroes.
Oh, I did see a blurb on that. Yeah.
So Magnus Robot Fighter, Dr. Solar, Turok. They even announced it on the Gold Key page because Gold Key, they've done. Gold Key's kind of weird because remember they did that one reprint of Thriller, the Boris Karloff comic. And then they did another one, but they screwed up the reprint. They have yet to acknowledge they screwed up the reprint. And we haven't heard anything from them since, and that's been over a year. But they're still there. I don't know what their business plan is other than, but we're going to get the Gold Key characters from Robert Kirkman, who, man, he seems to be, Jim Lee was the big business guy at Image when he was with them. He was the guy who was really smart about business, and the others were just kind of artists doing their stuff. Robert Kirkman has kind of shown himself to be the big business guy at Image now. And, he's doing more stuff with the Invincible universe. His Hasbro universe is still selling really well, and now he's going to be doing Gold Key. He's a guy Marvel should have kept. He was working for Marvel, and Marvel kind of let him get away. He's a guy Marvel should have kept, because you imagine if he would have brought the Transformers universe and everything to Marvel with Marvel behind it, it probably would have sold even better than it's doing now. Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about Funny Books for over 2 hours.
Well, thank you.
And probably because it's been 2 weeks since we did so. And
yeah.
The comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
Yeah, still kind of freaking on the surgery. I mean, things will get intimate with the scalpel. It'll go deeper than expected. Of course, I'll leave the OR feeling exposed. Surgeon really got hands-on, though. That cut was a little personal.
Oh, I gotta hit your
Things
music.
opened up quickly. Recovery was tender.
We done, bitches!